#Real Race Talk. It's the Revved Up Sports Show talking local, regional, and national action. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Howdy, friends. Welcome in. It is another Monday. It is time for, as you see right there, #Real Race Talk. It is a Revved Up Sports Show doing it live once again on Monday. Bobby Chaffee down south, Rodney Rodriguez up north as we get ready for a great program coming up. Loaded guest list. I got a little bit of sun thing going on here, but that's okay. Sun's going to drop here at some point. Monty Chamberlain joining us here in about, 13 minutes or so. Then we're going to have a tandem. Then we're going to have the Mikulencaks, Ben and Hudson, both winners at the South Texas Race Ranch will join us. And then Phil Whipple will check in with an update for us on things going on around these parts and the world in and of itself. Robert, how are you, my friend?
Dude, I'm still trying to get caught back up. That's crazy when you leave one day of work, how much work waits for you when you come back that next day. It's been an avalanche of paperwork and emails and all that stuff just trying to get caught back up. And I'm not very caught back up, but we got a short week with Easter on Friday, so with Good Friday, so we got a short time to get there. What is it? The long way to go and a short time to get there?
Yeah. Isn't it funny how that works out? You know, it's like when you go on vacation and stuff. You know, like you're going to take a week off or whatever the whole thing is. It's like I've always found. It's rush to be able to get away. And so then you finally get that part done. And then you go and you're doing whatever. And you're like the day before you're about done with vacation, you're already hating life because you know the bullshit that you're going to come back to. And then you get back and it's like, was this really worth it? It's I tell you, yeah, it's definitely a lot.
Between Friday morning and Monday afternoon, I had 80 emails.
Damn. That's quite a bit, man. Hey, now this is what I like. We're firing out of the box, and this was already there before we even started, before all the music and all that crap stopped. Let's go. There's an LOL there. I don't know what that means. So, yeah, you guys be sure and go ahead and post your winners and losers, topics, all of that, because we will interact you with the show and get you make you a part of the deal here. That's why we call it the livecast. Lots of people do these, but there are a lot of people that really will just kind of roll by the seat of their pants like we do. In fact, there are none.
Yeah, none that keep it as real and as live as we do.
Yeah. It's like that's why when stuff goes wrong, it's like I was talking to a dude. I don't know why that. Are you hearing that? Did you hear that? Gloom?
Yeah, the computer somewhere.
I don't know what that is. So anyway, I don't think that's messages coming
unless
in.
it's mine, but I don't have anything else open. So
messages are coming in as that's happening. So if that is the case, I might have to do a little bit of double checking here in a little bit. Mike Knott's checking in. Magic Mike Knott's there. He's in the race shop. Dude's always in the race shop. Race Ranch was lit on Saturday. That's what I heard. I heard the Easter Bunny even showed up. Not hell, but heard the Easter Bunny even showed up. That's always it. Now that's a VIP right there when you get that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, coming in out of a helicopter.
Dang. Parachute out or what? No, rabbits can't fly.
Yeah, he landed on the backstretch apparently.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, must have been nice.
Yeah,
I talked to Monty, see if there's any Easter bunnies in Edna, Texas.
Well, there's actually, we will definitely talk about Edna. Of course, we'll talk about that Monty. Of course, that's Monty's stomping ground right there. So we'll definitely go down that road with him. Talking to Owen Pittman a little bit earlier this afternoon, and there is going to be some stuff going on out there. Easter egg hunt for the kiddos. So congratulations, buddy. You get to do that. Those are always fun.
Yeah, well, I'm camping right down the street, so I got nothing but time.
Yeah. It's like when they tell me when the race promoter or whatever tells me, hey, we're gonna do a meet and greet. I'm like, great. And it's kind of one of those things too. Hey, we're gonna do a whatever. I'm like, oh, all right. Yay. No, that's always fun for the kids. That's always a good time for the kiddos to get out there and celebrate Easter, which it is. We give you a happy early Easter as that's coming up. I wanted to ask you, because I was thinking right there where I was looking on my monitor over here, where I see the thing over here behind me with the sun. This eclipse thing. I was watching on the news earlier. This is just going to be a mess. This is going to be yet another pain in the ass we got to deal with around here.
I'm hoping they let us work from home for that day since it's a Monday. I don't have to go to the office and fight all the Austin traffic for the eclipse stuff. So we'll see how that shakes out. I know some school districts have already said that they are going to be off, and they're like, "We're done. Like, you don't have to get up. The buses aren't running, kids aren't running. Ain't nobody gonna be paying attention to school that day because everybody's be waiting for the eclipse. Like, it's that way." So.
Well, and that's, I mean, here's another one. I mean, here's another one where I always wonder when we start talking about the eclipse. It's like every time there's an eclipse, it's like you better enjoy this one because you won't see it again for the rest of your life. And then 3 months later, we've got another eclipse. I'm like, I don't know. So what is this one? What is this supposed to be?
I don't know. This is the full eclipse versus the half eclipse we had before. I think like this is like a total eclipse.
Like that tune.
Yeah.
Total eclipse of the heart.
That's next week. That's next Monday.
Is it? When is it?
Next Monday, the 8th.
Oh, it's the day before my birthday. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Maybe it'll be a national holiday. Maybe it'll be a national holiday. See, I'm giving all of you guys a birthday present from me on my day before my birthday. It's all these people. I'm going to just say here in Central Texas, all these people are coming to see me a day early with the eclipse. But I saw that earlier they were talking about some counties have already proclaimed a disaster thing. They're worried about running out of water. They're running out of supplies. They're worried that the roads are going to be jammed up and full and all that. So it's like, oh man, seriously? I mean, hot damn! I hope it don't rain. God,
that's the biggest thing. You got to make sure that there's no cloud cover.
Great, yeah. So anyway, that'll be fun. And don't be staring at that thing. I think
don't stare at it without your glasses.
Yeah, I stopped somewhere the other day and they had them 3D glasses like you used to have to wear to go to the movies. So. Yeah. Okay, Bobby. So Eddie Ross.
Oh, it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
2 weeks away.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, is that already next week? It's like, man, I don't really count that thing down too much, but yeah. So, well, that's okay. We will talk about that, or you guys feel free to chat about it. I was actually going to talk about it last week that you had the dwarf car, the North versus South, that was over at Big O last weekend. I did hear that was some kind of finish, so we can definitely dive into that here at some point. Talk about I-37. Looked like I-37 was off and rolling as well, as they had their redneck stress relief and super cool stuff. So like it seems like April Fool's is next Monday. So that's perfect for this show. So yeah, that's all year.
I'm off that day too.
Damn, when do you work?
Well, depending on who you ask, not a lot.
Are you? So you're off for April Fools? Is that
state agency holiday, dude? It's the only perks of working for the state. All the days off.
April Fools?
They give us Friday and they're giving us Monday.
next week, right?
Yeah, we get this Friday off and then the following Monday on the 1st. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I understand that. Okay. Here's where I'm thrown off too. I thought that it was the week after. Yeah. Okay. That's where I'm still on the other. Okay, that makes sense. I take that back. You work plenty, so don't worry about that. Coda, man, it seems like the question coming out of that, and we don't have to beat up on it too much. We can do it kind of in between guests and so forth. Seems like the big question is, are they coming back? That seems to be the hot topic right now when it comes to post-Coda. I can tell you what, if they count the people there, you damn straight it's coming back.
Oh yeah, that crowd on Sunday was amazing.
It was right?
not as good as that very first year during the monsoon that everybody thought it was going to rain. But that's the biggest crowd, and this is the second largest crowd they've had in 4 years. So,
yeah. Well, and I think the good thing was, like we were talking about throughout the weekend, you didn't have golf, you didn't have. Texas baseball, I think they were on the road. So, you didn't have stuff that was interacting with the event that kind of did them in the last couple of years. I mean, with golf and all of that, I mean, golf has a great following. I don't care if it's here or even if you did that in San Antonio or Houston or whatever, Dallas. I mean, you're going to have a golf is real damn popular.
It's not like the F1 race weekend, which is going to be. I mean, people are going to show up to the F1 race regardless, but that weekend with Georgia coming to town,
Oh,
I mean, it's going to be murder. That airport, you better get in line 5-6 hours ahead of time for your flight for that weekend.
that's going to be about as bad as the eclipse around here. That's just bad planning right there. When I saw that football schedule come out, I thought, oh my goodness. I mean, that's going to be rough. That's going to be a lot of people, and like you said, I hope that airport is extremely efficient, which for the most part they do a pretty good job. I know I bitch about them every time I go, but for the most part they do a pretty good job. I think a lot of, and I should actually retract that and say most of the time when I'm complaining about my travel problems, it's because air line related more than anything with the if TSA takes too long, shame on me because I got there late is kind of the way that usually works.
Well, I mean, TSA always takes too long, but
Yep.
it doesn't matter.
Yep. Hey guys, here is your QR code right there for the Revved Up Sports Show website, revvedupsportshow.com. If you scan that bad boy right there, it's going to take you right to the site. The show's going live. All the archives are right there. And right up at the top of the page, you see the tab, it's clear as day. You can go in there, and that's where you can get your Revved Up merchandise, caps, T-shirts, hoodies, courtesy of our friends at On Demand Shirts. All of that stuff is right up on top. Just click that thing right there, and it takes you right to the online store, and you can look sharper than a $2 pistol like Bobby and I do. Well, you can't get the polos. You got to be on the staff. So there's 3 sets. So yeah. So anyway, and we are not hiring. So at least not for right now. Well, we're hiring.
And new merch we added too. I have some stuff, some limited edition stuff on the store myself after the last couple of days working on some different stuff. So there's always be stuff added to the store. So just keep an eye on it all the time.
Yeah, I've got a direct link to the store, but I'm actually not going to pull it up because it's got the name of the other show. And this is this show, so I will do that on that show. So anyway, go to the main website, go to the top, and it's all going to be right there. And as we always talk about, if you head on out to one of the racetracks and you see Bobby and I, odds are we've got some of that stuff with us and would be happy to pass that on to you. But it's okay to buy it too.
I know I should have got with you in your trunk there at Coda because I'm out of everything now.
Oh man, I had to go and clean out my car today. Had to go vacuum out, because I live in a very pollen oak area, and there was all that green shit in the trunk and all that, and I had to clean that stuff out. And man, it was all in there. So if we hand you something and it's got that little green tree stuff in there, just throw it out. Don't sniff it because you're gonna start sneezing. But that's all done. That's all done. All right. Well, there's your first 15. We'll post that later. That always ends up on the YouTubes and so forth. Let's dive in here and talk about the things that we really care about. Let's talk some racing. And it's time to go racing this weekend at Texana Raceway Park. Bobby, you will be there. In my opinion, and I say this, I'm very partial to Texana myself. It's one of the coolest spots that there is. To me, that's what a short track is all about. I mean, it's in a small town. It's in a great community. It's got great owners, promoters, and great drivers. And one of those that does frequent that spot very often is our man, Monty Chamberlain. He joins us. Monty, how you doing, brother?
Doing very good.
Doing well, my friend. How are things out your way, brother? You race ready, excited, and ready to go. Of course, you've already raced this year, but got to be sweeter to get to do it at the home track.
Yeah, I think we're ready. We did a couple of shakedowns, and Tony Blankenship and I both traveled together for those. We went to Pleasanton a couple of weeks ago, did a shakedown, kind of even got the first little whiskey dent in the car, so we got that out of the way. And that one was my fault. Then we went down to Corpus at South Texas Ranch last Friday evening to do a little practice and work out a few more bugs, and that went very well. So we feel like we're ready for this Saturday.
Monty, one of the coolest things you did in the off season, which I mean, I guess was just mainly a couple of weeks ago, is when you took the pictures that showed the transition that's making Texana go from a great facility to an outstanding facility with the stuff that Cord has done in the off season. I, for one, very happy with the new press box, although I don't know how efficient I'm going to be running downstairs through the doors and all of that down to the driver interviews there at the end. But that's something I'll have to work on. But man, that place, it's turning into a show palace, a very underrated show palace, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's in such a remote, so to speak, location, not a huge population center. So that's always been one of the challenges with the location. And of course, the facility evolved out of accident, so to speak. Uh, it was built, back in the 80, 85, 86, somewhere in there, but it was just a desire of the landowner to do that when some things happened. But now, okay, so I actually got to roll the clock back. Texana's kind of been an evolutionary phenomenon since 2005. Bruce and Donna Tesh purchased the property in 2005 and kicked off the season and did some incredible things over several years there. Next was the Densman family, purchased it, I think around 2006, 18 for the 18 season, and made more improvements. And then when Cord got a hold of it about 3 years ago, maybe a little over, but I think it was about 3 years ago, he has done phenomenal things. So it's been a stair step type thing. And this particular off season, I drove by there 2 weeks ago just to get a visual. And I got to back up coming down 111 south out of Edna. I used to always get so giddy, so excited when I would see those
Yeah.
water towers when I first started racing. And so I still love to go by there. And I'd ask Cord, could I look around? I went in there and it is amazing what they've done in this off season. Some things you can easily see, some things you can't. That press box, which is going to be the scorer's tower, the press box, and even a VIP room segregated in there for people who are either sponsors or different things. It's got the videographer stand up on top with a railing around it. It's going to be very nice. I saw that they were redoing the flag stand to make it safer, completely tore it down, reconstructed it. It's going to have a cage
Awesome.
around it. The entire front straight fence with the cable, the fence, everything has been replaced. Man, I guess I keep LED lights in the pits. Over half the pits have been moved to LED lighting, an entire new power distribution center, uh, an enhancement to the PA system. I asked Cord how much that thing costs. That's $26,000 improvement alone to the PA system to get better sound out there. Power distribution, I mentioned, it's amazing. It probably will have no faults there, but it's just beautiful. It's continuing to improve every year, and there's kind of a perfect match here. I know you interviewed Owen a few weeks ago, and I listened to that broadcast, and he talked about how Cord wants to own a property. And Cord's a friend of mine, but he wants to own the property. He's not interested in operating it. So, God, we're blessed. We have a owner who wants to make improvements and constantly does. And then you bring in this phenomenon of Owen, who is the ultimate promoter. And you put those two things together, it's just fit to succeed.
Yeah,
In my
I
opinion.
agree. I've said it for so many years, Monty, to where it's like where a lot of tracks struggle and people get on the promoter. It's like if you don't own it, it's hard to make a capital investment. Or if you're not directly correlated with the owner, it's really hard to make a capital investment and infrastructure and all of that in these places. And that's where Texana really is the kind of in the good spot. Well, not kind of, but in the really good spot with that. So all of that being said, talking about the history of Texana, let's talk about the history of Monty Chamberlain because it kind of starts right around that time as you're timelining right there. This is I think you mentioned to me this is 20 straight years for you, man. This is a labor of love for you.
Yes, this is my clinic, I call it. If people who I work with knew what I did for a hobby, they wouldn't believe it. But the people that I associate with in my hobby can't believe what my work life is. So two totally different parallels. But this is my clinic. Went to my first race in 1977. My parents took me to a race. I fell in love with it, dreamed about it forever. And in 2005, I went out and had my first race ever, and it was at Texana, so near and dear to my heart. We had relocated from Pflugerville down here a few years before with our family. So, we're from the Austin area with our careers. I'm from Dallas originally, but my wife and I launched our careers in Austin. And then we moved our family down south. We're very lucky to live on a very large, very large parcel of family property, a ranch. But Edna is 22 miles from my door, 22 miles. And when we got stabilized and could afford it, I was 38 years old, about to be 39, and I embarked on my first race season in 2005. And my daughter fell in love with it. She raced for a while. We got her in a good car at one point. And this is the 20th straight year for me racing. And last year, for the last season was maybe the first season ever that I didn't actually own a car, and I drove for some other folks, but definitely very involved and having a lot of fun still. I don't know when it'll be over.
Well, you never put an end date on having fun, right? As long as you're having fun, it's what's worth doing, right, Monty? In terms of that, talk about some of the different tracks you've been on. Obviously, you were a staple there at Stady Oaks Speedway for a long time, there with the big oaks there in Goliad, but that track is no longer a track, and now we've got the Texana stuff. I was always surprised that more people didn't transition over from Stady Oaks to Texana, but that's before my time at Texana. How many people did transition from Shady Oaks over to Texana when Shady Oaks closed, or did they just say, I'm not racing anymore because it's too far?
No, I don't know that it was that. I think it was a lot of folks who raced Shady Oaks. We were doing both at Texana, and Shady Oaks were open together for a number of years. But a lot of folks who would race Shady Oaks, we were kind of split between I-37 and South Texas, and then Texana. So that Shady Oaks customer base, when it came to racers, was split between those three tracks. In my opinion, you would draw from all of those sectors. Now, many people were just loyalists to Shady Oaks, especially the folks who lived around Goliad. So when it all ended, and I got to go back and say, every track, some people ask you, what's your favorite track? My answer to that is whatever racetrack is open. That's my favorite track. My favorite track to ever drive on truly was Shady Oaks. It was hammered down. You needed a motor, but we had a lot of good times there. And I think, Bobby, a lot of folks that were there, they did go ahead and move back to being loyalists to their closest track to home, which would have been, at I-37 or South Texas. And then many of those folks were drawing from Victoria. They did end up racing at Texana if the class was still in existence that matched with what they had.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's and I totally get that. I mean, I know with asphalt, that's kind of the way it was when there were asphalt tracks around. Is you were loyal to your track, and I mean that happens, and I totally understand it. Monty, I've seen a lot of your race cars. I mean, one thing about you is it's always a very sweet looking machine, and I got to tell you, the one that you have right now is very sweet looking. That is a sexy looking car. But when we talk about sexy race cars, and I think about you guys, talk about this beauty right here.
Yeah. Okay. That one right there, that was a dream of mine for a number of years in racing. Quick little story. This was a metric chassis. It was a street stock. We had the car already, and I found the story behind it is I found a guy in Muskegon, Michigan, who was making these bodies. He was like 20 miles from one of the Great Lakes, far North Michigan. And we ordered two bodies. We ordered a 57 and a 55 kit and went up to Michigan and picked it up and hauled both. We flew up there, rented a Suburban, and brought the bodies back in January of 16. And I got everything together, and I contacted a friend of mine. I call him the artist. A lot of racers know him. His name is Eric Martin, and he builds beautiful cars. And so we got with him, and he said, sure, I'll tackle this project. And he put this together and did some really intriguing detail, like the dash where the instrument panels were on the front, the gauges inside the cockpit. He did those to look just like a 57. So this was kind of my dream car. At the time, it was a street stock, and we had a pretty hefty motor in it, but street stocks were dying. So once I met that dream, I ran it for a good part of 2017, and then we sold it off because the dream had been met, but it was accomplished.
That is a great story. That is a great story.
the body sold that car because I sold the car after. Okay, when I sold that car, it was it was already 7 years old underneath. Okay, the chassis was 7 years old. We had 7 good years we got out of it, and because of that body, that cost me $800 for that body. Not the wrap, but the body. It was a fiberglass hood, fiberglass roof. Anyway, $800 for the body kit, and I sold that car for as much money as I had it built for, and it was used, 7 years old.
That is awesome.
Nothing wrong with that math. Talk about the car you got now, that one you picked up from Camo, man. That thing's a sharp looking number 55. It definitely will stick out, make it easy for me to call when you're racing out there in the pure stocks.
Yeah, that's a cool car too. We got it from Kenny, and I called him in September because I'd seen him posting it, and I thought, okay, I'm tired of not having a car. So I gave him a call and said, I'm interested in that car, but I'm sure it's way more than I want to pay for it. And he told me what it was, and I said, I'm going by the bank. I'll be there in a couple of hours. So I did. It was a pretty quick snap decision. I went and got it. It's unique. You're starting to see a few more of these cars, especially in iStocks and in some factory stocks. But it's called a Cutlass Salon body. I think they made them in about 77, 78. It was a hatchback back then, but it's really different and pretty cool. It's definitely a head turner, so we like that.
That's Monty. That's one of those that I refer to as the buttless cutlass, is what I.
Yes.
So that's what those what we call them. Somebody said that to me one time, and it had stuck. And every time I say it, somebody's like, "Oh, that was great," and I'm like, "Actually, somebody told me that." So I kind of stole that from someone. And you just, I was wondering when we were texting earlier, because when you mentioned Pflugerville Machine with Greg and those great folks like you were talking about with your motor, we used. They did a lot of our stuff when we were running asphalt at that time. So that ties in right there. I didn't realize the Pflugerville part. I don't know how I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, well, I lived up there, but that's not even what drew me to that motor that I had Greg build. I had Greg Killingsworth. He owned Pflugerville Machine. Had him build me a motor to start the 2006 season, and I had been watching that Keith White was running their products, and I knew Keith. Keith was winning everywhere at that time, and so I called Greg and I said, "Hey, I want to get a motor built." And he said, "Send me your rules." So I sent him the rules. He called back. Okay, now this was called a bomber in 2006, and one of the key things he zoned in on was two things. It had to pull vacuum, and it was 18 inches. Believe it or not, 18 inches at 1,000, which is a lot. And then it had to have steel heads on it, no aluminum heads. So Greg said, "This says steel heads. It doesn't say OEM." I said, "Okay, you tell me. I don't know. I'm not the mechanic." And he said, "You only have to pull vacuum." So he talked to the owner of the track at the time, which was Bruce Tesh, and Bruce told him, that's what it means. So read into it. Okay, so if you know anything about motors, and I knew very little, he put RHS heads on it, which are angle plug cylinder heads, and he put a solid lift cam in it that he had a designer at Comp Design, and man, that thing was incredible. We won a lot of races that year, and then it was all because of that motor, but it was incredible.
We would get cylinder heads that were worked on from there, and I could not believe how those things flowed. And they always pass tech. Other things might not that we did. That we were doing, but that was a damn good shop. That was a really good shop.
Yeah, it was great.
Sorry, Bobby.
That's good. I like it. I always was partial to that one you got from the machine or the hot rod shop, the blue one with the patina look on it. That was the one I always liked. Every time that one you come around the corner and got dinged in the door, I was like, oh man. Of course, that's usually when you got the announcer jinx from me talking about how good looking the car was. So that made me feel even worse when you come back with the door ding. But so what do you think we're going to see out of that pure stock class down there? It's kind of in a transition there from a bomber style. We tried to get the Corpus guys to come. They weren't coming. We tried to get some of the 105 guys to come. They didn't come until we paid a lot of money. What do you think the class is going to shake out at a little bit this year? More local guys coming, or what's your take on it as being a competitor in that class?
Well, definitely the local group, the guys will be the bread and butter. I know, within our team, me, myself, and Tony, he's got 2. So there's 3 right there. I know of a couple more just from what I'm following right in the Victoria area. And then there's the ones I don't know of. But I think the local guys, once it settles out, is going to be the bread and butter. You have to remember that we are now aligned with the 105 rules. That's a different animal than the South Texas hobbies. It's really different. And we're following the 105 rules. It'll basically be a mirror. And I do believe we have the potential to pull a larger competitor base because of the fact that we're going to have a lot of Friday nights. And that's going to be a big deal.
I think that's great for that. I mean, especially when you tie the rules together like that. I mean, that does afford guys the opportunity. So I really like that. The other thing that I did want to mention, I mean, just kind of with everything in general, I mean, cars that are registered in Corpus, I mean, they're considered to be registered in Edna as well. So hopefully that's going to be able to pull some of that over. So, man, I'd really like to. I know that the rules. I know that is what it is. But man, I'd really like to see those 2 tracks kind of dance in unison together.
I was going to say, we took our car. Okay, so if you look at it on paper, in comparison to the Fireball class at 37. Okay, we don't have the motor. We're 2,000 pounds heavier, but we don't run a chip. Okay, so that's a factor. And we probably have a little bit better tire at this time. So we went up there, and if we weren't making driving mistakes, we could hang with those cars. And so they are competitive. It'd be nice to see if we can find a way. I'm seeing this as a competitor. I don't have any skin in the game from an operational standpoint, but as a competitor, I think that's a good 2-way street to pair those cars up more. We really appreciated the reception to go run up there, and there was a great group of guys to go race with, and I would love to see if they could come down here and run with us. I'm not the decision maker for that, but we did appear to be very comparable on a competitive basis, in my opinion.
Just say it, Monty. Get them all fired up. Say they're scared. They're scared. They won't come.
Oh no, they'd come. They would come if they're allowed to. It's like us. I talked to Ray and said, "Hey, can we come up there?" And, I wasn't going to haul up there if it was going to. And I told him I don't want to create chaos. But when you don't have rules that mirror, people worry, right? But we were just trying to shake down cars, but also see how do they stand to each other. And that worked out pretty well.
Absolutely.
So you're going to be there on Friday, coming up for the practice session on Friday? Am I going to be able to have a drink with you there on Friday night, or we're going to have to wait till Saturday?
Well, more than you want to know, but for me, it'll be Saturday. Friday is Good Friday. And I'm going to tell you what I told Lawrence Mikulencak. So we're Catholic, and Friday is church. Okay, so if I went to a racetrack on Good Friday, I'd be crucified, hung up beside Jesus. I can promise you, in my household. So I'm doing good to get a pass on Saturday of Easter weekend to go race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Monty, I do want to tell you, because you're one of those guys to where it's like, today, just today, for example, I know Steve Sims was posting there about your shirt. He reached out to me. I'm supposed to ask you about your nickname, but anyway, before that, you're one of those guys. It's like, I don't hear anything bad about you. You're just you're an ambassador for racing, for short track racing. Texana is your home base, but when you go places, you do things. For crying out loud, I always say that I never say the R word. That's only because you find ways to get me in a car one time a year. You just do things that everybody likes you. You're just a good dude, man. You were raised right. Not to sound like an old man, you were raised right, my friend.
I have a good mama. I'll tell everybody that. My mama gave me good values. But I'll tell you what, Rodney, I'm glad you said that. I do things behind the scenes. I try to keep it quiet. I like to help people who are trying to race. I know how hard it is. to stretch the dollar. And if I can help somebody, I pick a few people out that I think are doing the right things and try to help them. I love trying to help the tracks because, as I said earlier, my favorite track is the one that's open. I love them all. They all drive different, but I love a track that's open. And I appreciate you saying that. I do. I love to help people. I love to help tracks. And winning ain't no bad thing. That's for sure. But I really love what I kind of feel like I could say is the hundreds of friends I've built over the last 20 years. And I'd rather have that reputation than anything else.
Absolutely.
And I will say, Monty, from my personal experience, you were one of the first guys to greet me with open arms when I started announcing down in Edna. So that was really cool. You take me around the pits introduced me to some of the guys that I had no idea who they are and used to get some of their names wrong. But you were one of the first guys to greet me with open arms down there. And that was I was only supposed to announce down there for about 3 weeks. And here we are on year number 4. So I guess it's coming full circle now. So.
Well, thank you. We're so happy you're there.
Have a good time. I love that little racetrack.
Me too, man. That is seriously, that is one of my favorite places. Flag City, USA. I just love it there, man. Love it there. Got to go have Mexican food before you get in there. And
Pinto bean.
There it is, the Pinto bean. It'll be Saturday at Texana. Go on out and check out Monty. He will be on the racetrack there in the pure stocks, my friend. Good luck. And honestly, seriously, Monty, thank you for what you do for this sport. We need a lot more Monty Chamberlain.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, buddy.
All right, man. See you Saturday.
Talk to you later. All right,
Righty,
take care.
bye.
There he goes, Bobby. That's just a good dude.
One of the good dudes in the sport, right there.
Really is no other way to say it. I mean, I've seen him. Racing accidents happen, and but it's just. You got to appreciate guys like that. And that's where. A lot of times you see some of these dingalings doing stupid things, and when people are whatever, and I think with Monty, it's one of those things where at first, when I first was getting to know Monty, it was like, okay, maybe it's because he's a little bit older, he's more in my age, he's just different, but he's got a great soul. That's the difference, and you can't teach that. That's just the way he is.
Yeah, it's just the way he is. And you forgot to ask about his nickname. I finally got the nick. Tommy Temple is the one that told me his nickname.
Oh, well, what is it? I can't get him back on there.
The Wharton County Playboy.
The Wharton County Playboy. Oh,
that's right.
Dang. You know what? I think I'd heard that before. I think I'd heard that before. So, yeah. So, Caden Petty will be there. If you're going to be there Friday, you can go see Caden.
I'm going to be there long enough to try to mess up the sound system, but
oh, hell, look out. Better warn Cord and them, tell them, look out. Don't turn me loose. Just start pushing buttons. And if it doesn't work, just turn it off and turn it back on. That's what I always tell them.
Yeah, I'll be calling you on Friday, be like, what's this button do? What's this button do?
I think I may be, I don't know yet. I think I may be called into duty over at the Waco. I don't know yet. I got to check and see what else is going on. But great conversation there with Monty, and the Mikulencaks are coming up. I think we've got them both in the studio here, so we'll bring them on here in just about 3 minutes. We will dive them in. But before we do that, like we always talk about, you see Bobby and I with all this cool swag. Well, you can get it too. It is courtesy of our friends at On Demand Shirts. San Antonio, Texas, they will hook you up as they have hooked us up, and lots of drivers around these parts. I do want to mention the other stuff kind of that we were talking about there with Texana, Easter egg hunt for the kiddos there at Texana. So Owen was mentioning, hopefully some drivers, whatever, can pitch in to help, you know, that stuff. So help out with some of that. So that would be much appreciated. And of course, $200 bonus for the winners from the race ranch if they can win in Edna. So there you go. A little bit of extra money that'll be coming, or that could be on the line right there. And as we were talking about, all cars registered in Corpus are considered to be registered at Texana. So that's pretty cool right there. That's just cost savings and the good cross branding together. I think
good cross branding. I mean, it really is. So
yeah.
that'll make things a little more seamless, if you will.
Yep, no doubt about it. You will have Zach Calhoun with the E-Mod, so he's eligible for that bonus right there. And the two dudes that are about to jump on right now are actually going to be eligible for that as well. We'll ask them about that, but I think it's going to be a pretty damn good weekend over there. It's
shaping up to be pretty good. Easter weekend, you never know what you're going to get, right? There's been times that we've had some stuff back in the day. Houston used to run a big show there on Easter, and it would be packed because it would be the only thing going on. So I'm hoping for good things. It's going to be the only thing I'm sure it's going to be the only thing going on in that little bitty town of Edna, Texas.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's check here. Scott, thank you for pointing that out. You were on one channel. My friend. This thing is running on about six different locations. So we are slightly above 10. But thank you for pointing that out. It's always good to know that shit. You know, I that's the kind of stuff that I need to know when I'm working behind the scenes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's more to it than that. And then you got the downloads, and you got the live loads. You got all kind of different numbers to look at on the backside. So,
man, if we get one person to watch, I'm happy. You know, it's like I see that all the time. I mean, I know that's important. I know that the numbers are extremely important. But I mean, honestly, the thing is, I mean, if we get somebody new, and I know we get at least one new viewer every week or listener or downloading the podcast, if we get one person that does that and is going to pass it on, and man, you know, I don't care if people listen to it or watch it and they're like, man, that sucks, I'm never going to do it again. That's great. Thank you for checking it out. That's what this is all about. We just got to get eyes. We just got to get eyes on this sport. And that's why this show developed years ago and continues to evolve here in 20 and 24.
8 years. 8 years on the air.
8 years. That's 2 presidential terms, man.
I know.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. It's quite the run so far. Quite the run.
So far, so good. Anyway, right?
Yep, no doubt about it. Before we go to the guest line, do want to mention Cole Butcher, the winner there at Pensacola in the Pensacola 200, as Bubba Pollard a little bit of trouble right there, and so he finally, the winning streak stops for Bubba Pollard in the asphalt super late models. He did finish third in the ARCA race, which I think is going to help him as he gets set to go to Richmond here.
Did he get bumped up out of the way in that ARCA race? Is what I was hearing.
Yeah, he kind of got moved around a little bit. So anyway, he actually won the Crown Stock race, but he got disqualified. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, Crown Stocks getting a little out of control over there. Those things are extremely fast. All right, let's bring the dudes on right here. So we're double tapping in right there. Oh, oops, sorry about that. There we go. It's just a few clicks right there. These two guys are eligible for bonus money at Texana Raceway Park this week if they choose to do that. But these are the winners at South Texas Race Ranch past Saturday night. Ben and Hudson Mikulencak. How we doing, boys?
Oh, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, doing very well.
So I wanted to ask you guys. I didn't realize this until I looked earlier. Not only did you both win the feature, you both swept the night in your divisions. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It you know, a win by itself in the feature or the heat, you know, something you keep with you, and you know, you look back on that weekend with success. But for us to be lucky enough to be able to both, you know, have that heat win and that feature win, you know, that makes it even more special.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely. Since that was my first time getting the heat race win and the feature win in the same night, especially getting to do it alongside Ben, it definitely makes it a little bit more special too.
No doubt.
All right, y'all. We got a lot of new people that's been joining the show for the new, 2024 season. You guys need to break down the Mikulencak family tree for us, so we know exactly which direction to go here. Because we all know Lawrence. We all know Lawrence is the king of the tree. But now we got to figure out the rest of the limbs as they come down. So help us out. Help us out with that family tree there, guys.
All right, I'll start. Hudson will fill in, I'm sure. So Lawrence has two brothers. One his name is John, and our dad is James Mikulencak. And that's where we hail from. You got Marcus under Lawrence, and then brother John even had some of his kids try racing and some dirt bike riding as well. But a lot of young people stemming from that bloodline, and even Nathan Titzman has a little bit in it, and Parker Titzman. It's pretty big, and it's pretty cool to see all of us enjoying what we do, and all being pretty successful with it as well.
Yeah, it's like a March Madness bracket. Here it is. So it all lays out. Ben, I'll go to you first. Let's talk about the Double J Turkey Limited Modifieds out there. Pretty stacked field right there, man. Some of the best race brands.
Yeah, no, a lot of great drivers, and a lot of great drivers that'll be there probably for the next one too, that just weren't ready for this one. All these guys. I mean, I talked about it on the last time too when I was in factory stocks. All these guys from South Texas, have the potential and skills to go compete anywhere else, whether it's Louisiana, Dallas, and that's been proven. Marcus went a few years ago and won a big limited race in the Dallas area. Jared Moppin going and running at the front of 105 tracks. Us guys don't usually get to race at. Different kind of dirt, different kind of clay, but we're also good at, I think, being able to adapt, and that probably is a reason, due to the fact that South Texas, I-37 and Texana are all such different tracks. South Texas, you carry a lot of speed through it. 37 you can at times too, but it slicks off and it gets really racy. And then Edna is always racy, just with the track shape and the competition there.
No doubt.
So Hudson, tell us about your. You said it was your first time to get the win and double up over there. So tell us about how that feels, man. When you finally you got our ducks in a row. You get to check your flag. You're waiting for all the girls to come down and sign all the autographs. Talk about your win, man. Talk about how you're building this career from the ground up, dude.
Oh, well, I've definitely had a great foundation laid for me already with the success Ben's had in that car, and then just him and my dad having the knowledge of everything. So I have a real good learning or a stem to learn from. But it's definitely been a lot of lap time trying to learn how that car likes to drive and everything like that. But it felt amazing when I got to first hold that trophy and get to take a little bit pictures with it.
That's I remember the first time I actually won a feature. I was shaking so bad I didn't know what to do.
Well, I ended up forgetting because I got the flag and I pulled around doing my victory lap and I pulled it right onto the scales. And in my head I was thinking, dang, usually this don't take so long for the driver to get out and get all the pictures and stuff with the trophy. And I was like, oh shoot, like I gotta pull up there.
Yeah. So Hudson, we were just talking to Monty Chamberlain. So with the pure stocks, man, that division, man, I love those cars. I mean, that's just white knuckle, elbows up, ass in the seat racing right there.
Oh yeah, no, from the, I guess 2-3 seasons ago, where it just was kind of a newer class of driver. Over these past couple of seasons, we've got some more experienced drivers that have dropped down and got to race with us. So I've definitely got to learn a little bit from them, and it really is just some heads up racing. You got to be on your toes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what's all in store for 2024 for you guys? I mean, are you guys set to run? Do you guys like to run for points? It's always a pain when you win or run well the first or second night of the season, because then you're like, my name's number one. I like to see that number one by my name. do you guys have plans to stay there, run the full season? What's going on? Ben, we'll let you go first.
We always love racing at the 3 South Texas tracks. Points have kind of been secondary to finishes in the past, but while we're up there, we might as well try and make it count, and see where things go. Yeah, the kind of dual registration for Edna and for South Texas, I think, is really neat and really encourages drivers to go back and forth between those two tracks. I'll definitely be making the most of that.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool thing right there. Hudson, how about you, man? What do they have planned out for you? I know a lot of times it's like they tell you what to do.
a little bit. No, but it is nice seeing my name up there. But if it happens to stay up there at the top of the points, I'll be all for it. If not, I'm just gonna go out there every weekend and try to learn a little bit more and just keep growing. But I'll probably try to make some of those trips up to Edna when I can, but not really too sure what's all in store yet.
Yeah. And Ben, kind of talk about that part right there since you've been behind the wheel a little bit longer. The 3 tracks right there that you mentioned, like with 37, South Texas, and Edna, man, to really have them a concerted effort to try to do that. I think that's great for South Texas racing.
I agree. It's always been tricky with all 3 tracks running because you're going to have 2 tracks run on the same Saturday, and that's kind of been inevitable. A lot of great minds have put their heads together to really try and figure out a solution to where all the racers can race as much as they want to and make sure all 3 tracks are open and available. Lots of great ideas in the past. I think this is just another great idea going forward. Expenses are a little bigger than they've been in the past, so anything that these promoters are coming up with to maybe shave down a little bit of the cost on the racers, I think is a good deal. And every track is different too. You can be fast at South Texas, you can be fast at 37. You go to Edna and you get thrown a curveball. Surface is different. You just have to drive it differently. Sometimes you got to set your car up differently too. Driving Hudson's car, that was my first car that I started out in. Really cool to see that thing still running and still see it, at the front of the field with Hudson scales he's got. But pure stock racing or even bomber racing to pure stock racing to factory stock to now, all 3 tracks are fun. I can't really say one class is funner than the other because the competition, tough and,
Yeah. That's right.
It's always good when they're like, yeah, right? Because we know the competition is good. I'm really happy this weekend that Edna finally gets to fire off because we've got 37 had a couple of really good races, and you had some really good racing there at the ranch there on Saturday. So I'm happy that Edna's getting time to shine. And so when you get a chance, so how much do you change from track to track? And I guess this is more towards Ben since you got the more experience racing between the 3 South Texas tracks. Do you keep the same gear in it? I mean, I know that the Edna rules are more towards 105, so it kind of throws a wrench into that too. But I mean, do you change your gears? Do you change your driving style? I mean, talk about racing all 3 tracks and what you got to change.
All right. South Texas Speedway, usually, no matter how the night goes, the feature is usually pretty quick. Whether it's, pretty tacky or pretty slimy, it always seems like you're carrying a lot of momentum around that track. I know for me, I've always been a fan of some lower gears and, obviously everyone's a fan of good handling race cars, but there's a lot that goes into it to make sure it does handle good that you then also have to prepare for when you go to, say, Pleasanton. Pleasanton, a little smaller, but you definitely carry a lot of speed. The track is set up really well to where you can run all the way from the top to the bottom with the berm that they have at the tops of 1, 2, and 3 and 4. It makes the racing really good there. No matter if the track is slick, and even when it's tacky, you can still run pretty much any line. Edna's been the trickiest one for me. I do have a win there, but only one. In factory stocks, Edna is a grit and grind kind of bull ring track. You really got to bring your A game to that track. You can't drive it like a Pleasanton or a South Texas. You really got to focus a lot on entry and getting through the center of that turn. You want to keep your momentum up, of course, but you also got to make sure, you know, you're keeping on your line and not letting the other drivers get a run under you or over you. With the resurfacing of that track and putting that kind of lip in the middle, that's really helped. You know, it's been a step in the right direction to make it multi-groove. It worked a lot last year. Edna usually gets really slick towards the features, and that's really what brings out a lot of excitement. And you know, special body cars, I think they fine. The bumping and beating, you know, there's always going to be a little bit and some more. And I think Edna's kind of the perfect place for that.
Yep.
Really got to build some good bumpers there.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, you really do. So Hudson, for you, I mean, I know you're very early in your pure stock career, but what are the chances that we see you in a factory stock or maybe a limited modified, maybe towards the end of the year here, getting your feet wet for what's to come?
Oh, well, I'd originally started out in factories back in, I guess, a couple of years ago, but I ended up blowing the motor on it, so I went to this. But I'm honestly enjoying my time in the pure stocks right now. I have gotten quite a bit of laps under me, but I still definitely got a lot to learn. But I mean, getting back in that factory stock with all them great drivers, I mean, that'd be a blast again.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Definitely. But you guys are in a really good class as well. So, guys, this has been fun. This has been a hell of a lot of fun having you guys here. So, are y'all going to try to go get the bonus at Edna?
Oh yeah, we're gonna go get that bonus.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm talking
Hell
about.
yeah, I'll make you guys heroes for sure because I'll be down there announcing stuff.
all right.
Y'all get ready. We're gonna have some fun on Saturday night.
That's what I like to hear.
Oh yes, sir.
All right, guys. Congratulations on the win at Corpus, and go get you some extra money in Edna.
Yeah, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, sir.
You bet. There they go. The Mikulencaks. Two brothers right there. That's pretty cool. I like that. I love that. I didn't realize that they had swept. I knew that they had both won the main event, but taking care of business like they did, it's gonna be pretty cool. $200 bonus right there.
200 is 200, man. I mean, that's you know. I mean, you know, it's the 200 is 200. I mean, for any racer, any kind of bonus is a bonus. Some guys take those bonuses like, it's only $200. Man, that's entry fee. That's money to change the oil. That's maintenance money. That's gas money. $200 is not, especially when you talk about in like a pure stock.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a lot of extra money right there.
Yeah, I mean some of these racetracks. I mean with you know, like a pure stock class. I mean, hell, that's damn near the winner's share. You know, so I mean, if you can double that, I mean, you're doing damn good right there. And yeah, Michael said, yeah, the whole family can. Every dadgum one of them. I mean, if your last name is Mikulencak, you can drive. And
yeah, if you're in that family tree, you got a chance to win races. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So they definitely do a great job of doing that, and it is really cool to just watch it. And that's, you know, I've said it so many times in the past. That's what I like about down there is that man, it's just like it just keeps going. It's like a conveyor belt. It's just like, okay, here's another one. And then when he mentioned like Titzman and all those folks, it's like, okay, well, then there's these people too that have a little bit of a tie-in. Well, not a little bit of a tie-in, but that have a tie-in there as well. It's just a continuous cycle that you have of great racers that come out of the coastal area down there.
Yeah, and the Mikulencak's not the only racing family down there. I mean, you know, you got the Whitakers that are down there. That's just the second family that comes to mind. So a lot of good racing dynasties down there that was been cool to keep up with over the last 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm. There was a comment earlier talking about Big O. Yeah, I mean, big time North versus South over there, and the North prevails with Jeff Patterson winning that race. So you give that to the North. But you look at the rest of the top five right there, and then you go south with Dylan Budnick, Dylan Coyne, Coy Moore, and Brandon Spreen. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you get to Lisher, Richardson, Falkenberg, and so forth. So the North takes the prize, but the South, it looked like, was very heavy right there. And I mean, that's heavyweights right there in that. When you get those North-South shows together like that, man, that's really cool stuff. And they put on a hell of a show.
I think the dwarfs are coming with us on Saturday. We get
Dwarf-
stems and dwarfs are the extra add-on classes on Saturday night. So
Dwarfs are there on Saturday. So that's going to be a great Texana show. I mean, that is going to be a great show right
yeah,
there.
we can't forget to talk about the stems modified. They're making their debut there in Edna. That's going to be fun. If you get 15, 16 bid bonds down there at Edna,
Yep.
that's going to be a hell of a show. Dwarfs always tend to put on a good show from second on back. Dustin Rude usually comes in and smokes their ass, but we'll see how those guys shake out. It's a new season. You never know what's going to happen. So maybe Dustin Rude will have some competition down there this year.
Chris Morris wins the inaugural Stems, not the first annual, the inaugural Stems race over at I-37 a couple of weeks back. So we'll see. I'm sure he will be back as well. But yeah, it's full card. You got the Easter egg hunt like we talked about. The added bonus money there for winners from Corpus, Stems Modified, Dwarf Car Racing Series of Texas, all of that happening at Texana coming up this weekend. So really excited about that one. Really excited about that one. So any of you guys ever been in Chris Bell's shoes like this? No sound. I purposely left the sound out because I couldn't hear anything. But just look at Christopher Bell right here. He's just like, Kyle
Larson upset at him, and he had definitely a Kyle Busch mad at him.
And I found, yeah, he was running over everybody yesterday. I noticed that every time I looked up, it was like the 20 on the back bumper of somebody. But I did find out that so when Christopher Bell, I'm going to do it one more time. So do you see right there where Christopher Bell says no and shakes his head? Kyle Busch said, "Have I ever wrecked you?" And that's where he's like, "No." And Kyle Busch said, "Well, you got one coming." Yikes.
Hey, let it happen, man. The one thing you can say about it, like supercars is the next closest thing. They let him beat and bang, but they give him penalties for pulling out on pit road and all that kind of stuff. But man, I tell you, NASCAR, everybody gives NASCAR grief about shit for the littlest stuff. But I tell you, NASCAR has the best fuel to put on some of the best races because it's the boys have at it. Let them beat, let them bang. You're not going to penalize them like Formula One for getting too close in the tire tracks and all that, impeding progress and all of that. Just let them race. Just race your ass off. That's all you got to do.
Well, and look at the last 2 weeks. So you had the Bristol, you had the Bristol thing, and what is this? This is embarrassing. This is another failure from NASCAR, and okay, I thought it was great drama. I thought it was really good.
Best race of the year.
Yeah, made the best race in a long time. Made the drivers have to drive and drive the way we do on short tracks. Made them have to do all that. No, it sucked. Okay. So you don't want that. Then you have the COTA race where you don't have the cautions unless they're planned ahead of time.
And they hated that too.
Oh, that sucked. I'm like, well, what do you want? Do you want the edge of your seat excitement that you had the week before, or do you want the lackluster because they both suck? So what's the answer? I know the answer. I know the answer is short track, but I'm talking about from NASCAR.
Yeah.
From NASCAR, what do you want?
Jeez. I'm getting into a Facebook war on a comment that's a TMS ad with Daniel Suarez. This guy makes the comment. He says NASCAR and the tracks are only concerned about the almighty dollar.
I saw that.
Instead of going to a track, I'm just going to watch the YouTube recap and that's it. I'm like, well, guess what, dude? If you're watching the YouTube recap and perking up, you're still following along, and that's all that matters.
Well, and you ask any short track promoter, they don't care about the dollar. Everybody always says screw NASCAR. I'm all about short track. Yeah, the short track promoters aren't in it for the money at all. They don't care about any of that. They don't want to make money. I mean, they don't want to.
Nobody wants to turn a profit.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No, I mean it's for fun, right?
From radio shows to NASCAR Cup Series budget, nobody likes to make a muck.
Right, and that's just the world we live in right now. That's just the way it is, and it's now I will say, and Phil Whipple's coming on, and I know we've kind of veered off here. We don't get to talk about NASCAR stuff anymore, and I know a lot of you people are saying, I wish you didn't now, but too damn bad we're going to anyway. But What the hell did IndyCar do this weekend? What was that? And why?
In a private country club.
I got to tell you, man. I think you know my opinion on IndyCar. Well, let me take that back. My opinion of the potential of IndyCar, because it's like a broken record. I say it all the time. That right there, to me, was 10 steps backwards. That to me looked like fucking Formula One. That's exactly what that looked like to me.
Yeah. But the best news about Formula One is Max Verstappen broke. And it turned into the best Formula One race in years. Margin of victory, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Closest Formula One finish in like 27 races.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I know a lot of people that were. I was getting. You and I were kind of texting. Some other people texting me is like, "My God, Verstappen didn't win." And I said, "When was the race?" And they're like, "Oh, it's still going on." I was like, "Oh, okay." But well, yeah, that's good. And I saw something on one of the social channels to where when the DNF happened to when he went off the track, I mean, like the crowd went crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I thought they liked it when he went out there and dominated and beat the hell out of everybody." But that IndyCar thing, man, it was like, golly, I just don't. I mean,
I didn't even really keep up with it. I mean, we were at Coda, so that was one thing. But
I
on
knew
a private country club course, come on, man.
they took a break. I mean, they took a break in it, and the whole thing was a race. They ran heat races. I mean, they ran heat race. Alex Palou waxed them. I mean, for one thing, I think is, and again, you know, folks are going to come at me and say, yeah, but you like the Clash. Well, that's different. That's stock car racing, or that's NASCAR racing. But this is just, I mean, God bless America. It's, and I really hate to poo-poo a lot on IndyCar right now because you know I think Roger Penske did a great thing right there, purchasing that and doing what he did and everything, and kind of keeping that going. But it's just like it just seems like IndyCar. Here we go again. You know, you had that split way back when, or the Cart the USAC, and then you had the Tony George thing, and now here we are with this. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a split, but I mean, and here's the other part that I read. I read somewhere this is supposed to be $1 million. $1 million to the winner was going to go to, in this case, Palou. At some point, they reduced it to 500,000.
Yeah.
Oh God, guys, what in the hell?
And what are they going to do when Honda takes all their money from IndyCar to go to NASCAR?
Be sitting the way they were when you had the IRL and Cart split, where you're going to have nobody in the stands, and God, you know, Bobby, it wouldn't. I don't think this would piss me off so bad if there just wasn't so much there. I think that IndyCar could do, especially right now when we're sitting here talking about, you know, the lack of competition in Formula One, and where people are getting soured on Formula One, where people are getting tired of that bullshit. I mean, you've got a very viable open wheel series in North America, in the United States, that can go to Canada, that can go to Mexico, that can go to all these places, that can really just. They could be like a rabid dog, you know what I mean? Kind of foaming at the mouth right now, and they do this kind of shit. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't know.
They're concentrating on international markets there at IndyCar. The only market they need to concentrate on is getting their ass back at Coda.
Well, and the other part of it is because I think a lot of American fans, a lot of the folks that had fallen in love with Formula One, have kind of fallen off the map as well with the whole Max Verstappen winning all the time. You know, I think it kind of one of those things where it's like, dude, I mean, here's your chance. Here's your chance because I mean, you do have. I mean, Palou has kind of taken that position, but at least he's not doing it as bad as Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of good talent there. So I don't know. I mean, that'll work itself out. And like you said, it's a damn shame that they're not somewhere in Texas, because I think they could draw some pretty good people.
Yeah. If they're not at TMS, they need to be at Coda. Pick one.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Coda would be nice because the one race I thought was really, really good. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Going to step away for just a moment. Got to hear from a couple of our other great sponsors. And then coming up here in just a few, we're going to talk to our man, Phil Whipple, Whipple Motorsports Media, Race On, and of course, the Revved Up Sports Show.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here again with the Revved Up Sports Show. For nearly 3 years now, you've heard me talking about our valued partners over at Generation Race Cars. In 2023, GRC built cars visited Victory Lane on 46 occasions, driven by 9 different drivers. This year, GRC drivers are picking up right where they left off, as young Christian Gaston has already won at Cannondale Speedway. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built to the same high standards we have at GRC. Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. When you're ready to order a new car for 2024, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call at 817-528-2947. That's 817-528-2947. Take your program to victory lane with Team GRC.
Off and rolling once again on your Monday. It is hashtag Real Race Talk, the Revved Up Sports Show. Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, all of you folks that are being a part of the program here with us. Super good show here so far as we've talked to Monty Chamberlain. Like we said, Monty, just all around good dude right there. I said something to Steve Sims earlier. We were kind of texting back and forth, and those two guys kind of remind me of each other a little bit. That they're all about the sport, man. They are all about the sport. Want to make it better.
Yeah, they are. They're 2 peas in a pod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. Really good dudes right there. And of course, Hudson and Ben Mikulencak joining us as well, as that's from the Jim Mikulencak, part of the March Madness bracket that we've been talking about right there. We need to make a bracket. So maybe that's what we had to do. You know what we had to do? We had to do like a bracket of Texas racing families. And have people can vote on it, and we can. Well, I don't know. That might piss people off.
It's going to piss people off.
Yeah, that probably piss people off. But
you thought the power rankings pissed people off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, that is very much the case. So yeah, maybe we won't do that, but we know that there are tons and tons of great families, not only here. I mean, not only in Texas, of course, the show based out of Texas here, but we've got folks that check in from all around the place. And a big "Cómo estás" to our friends in Mexico, because according to Max Calles and Kenneth Canales and all of those guys, Enrique Contreras, we've got a lot of friends that checking in from Mexico. So
are we helping them learn English?
I don't know, man. I don't know. So if indeed that clash goes to Mexico, I might have to take me a trip, go to work.
I know, right?
Go work.
If the rumors of the stuff that we hear every year come true, and we heard it from more than one person. Let's see, what was the recap in it? The clash is going to go to Mexico. Bowman Gray is going to host the All-Star race, and North Wilkesboro is going to become a points race. That was what I heard from more than one person, and that sounds about right.
Sounds about right. So we'll see what happens. We will definitely see what happens. All right, let's dive back in here. We're not really even what's today? March 25th. We're not even at the quarter pole of this 2020 and 24 racing season, but there's already been a lot of stuff that's happening. Of course, the dude that covers it for Race On and, of course, for Whipple Motorsports, he's always in the know. There's something I don't know, I know who to call because, and he'll like, before I even finish the question, he tells me who I need to be talking about. It is Phil Whipple, way up where it's cold. It's cold up there, my man.
Yes, it is cold. Very, very cold. Good evening, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Chaffee. Yeah, welcome back to the snowy world of northern New England, gentlemen. It is winter has returned here.
Ah, dang. Well, like I told you, I think it was yesterday, I was like, we had, I don't know, Bobby, we didn't even have an ice event, did we? I mean,
Not really. For the first time in a long time, didn't have anything. Got cold, but nothing bad.
yeah, they were threatening that, the next 2 days it might get into the 40s. I'm like, winter is done, my friend. So I'd say enjoy it, but I guess for you guys, that's not really enjoyable.
No, really isn't. We do have, I'll be honest, we do have some ski enthusiasts, as you can imagine, guys, and snowmobilers who, after a very lean winter, a difficult, very unusual winter here in northern New England, they're lucky they're going to extend their season just a little bit more. We all received statewide yesterday or Saturday and Saturday night. We all received statewide, actually throughout all of northern New England, between 1 and 3 feet of snow here. In fact, southern Maine got hit with a horrible ice storm. There's still tens of thousands of people without power as we speak. And so it was a really pretty devastating storm, the biggest storm we've had all winter, really. So, yeah, it's going to extend the winter sports season a little bit. But this particular cat is more in a spring frame of mind.
That's what I'm talking about.
Everybody thought that groundhog was wrong, too.
Yeah, man. I was really, for a long time, we were bare ground here for a month, which is very unusual for us, brothers. But it ain't bare anymore. It was a big coating of white now. Now it looks more typical of what northern New England used to look like when I grew up, certainly in northeastern Vermont. But, hey, you just get all kinds of stuff. You guys know we're on a roller coaster ride of weather conditions. Now, Rodney, you follow meteorology much like I do. So you've seen what was predictable for a given season is no longer predictable. Now you might get any and all forms of extreme weather in almost any month of the year. Am I right? It's just sort of unpredictable now. So you take really what you get, I guess, and try to roll with it now.
You're exactly right. I mean, I live and die by the Farmer's Almanac. And I had a guy that asked me about a month ago because I was talking about the Farmer's Almanac, and they were like, "Oh, do you plant things?" I'm like, "No, it's just always been the most reliable thing." I mean, if I did plant things, I wouldn't tell people because it's probably shit I shouldn't be planting. But even the Farmer's Almanac is wrong now. So
that's right. That was a once reliable source. Maybe it isn't anymore.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, Ben Mikulencak, that was just on checking in right there. He says, Phil Whipple, my favorite Yankee. How about the Mikulencak boys tearing it up at South Texas this weekend?
They are incredible young athletes. Boy, was I glad to see those on there. And congrats to those guys. I think a lot of those guys, my favorite Yankee. I'll take that as a very nice compliment, sir. Thank you. That's really nice. I hope I'm making a lot of friends out of you Southerners because I am a Yankee. I'm not from your world, but you all know by now how much I love what I do and how I put my heart into it. So thanks for that compliment, bud. And boy, I got to tell you guys how much I lit up to see Monty Chamberlain on tonight. I'm a big Monty fan. I kept talking throughout the thing to Debbie about what a class act he is. He exudes class on everything he says and does. You see the cars, you see the integrity in his whole deal and how much he boasts about what Cord Beard has done to Edna. And it looks good on him. Him and Sims, they're some of the classiest cats up close to my age, not quite, but close to my age in the sport, and I really admire him. So again, just really nice that you guys had a chance to visit with Monty tonight.
Every once in a while, I have a good idea.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah, yesterday Bobby was like, "Call Monty." I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Of course, I get so scatterbrained sometimes. I didn't even realize Edna was this week. So anyway, sorry, Bobby. There, I'm jumping in on you again.
No. We'll get a chance to talk to Phil. I want to talk to Phil about his new Vermont Hall of Fame because we've been sending messages back and forth. It's got a very, very similar feel to what we could make happen in Texas.
Man, am I glad you brought it up, Bob, because it does. And I got to ask you right off the bat before we get into that. I've been keeping you up to speed, bud. So are you as surprised as I am, Bobby, that how quick that's all come together over there in my native state? Because that was, remember, March 5th when I participated in the initial Zoom call on that. What we're all going to be doing down there in Texas in the not too distant future, sir. That just started to come together, and here they are making the big public debut and the announcement at the Barry Auditorium this Saturday. Man, have I got to compliment Justin St. Louis and Dave Moody, the way those guys have grabbed the bull by the horns, so to speak, in my native state.
that thing's happening over there, Bobby. The Vermont Motorsports Hall of Fame is going to be quite a deal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Lots of similarities what we can actually make happen down here, and they're doing it the right way. And actually they're doing all the they get to do the R&D for us, because if we mirror what they're doing, that's fine, that's great. If they run into a hiccup, then that's one less hiccup that we'll have to run into, and we're trying to do all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. They started out, and I'm learning quickly here from these guys. The key, and we'll have the same thing, and that's why I've got the names Kevin Rogers and you two guys and Mr. Sestair and Joe Spillman already down on my short list that I want involved with this thing. The key that Justin, I think, is why it's all happening so quickly and so well over there, is the people that are involved. It's the minds, the industry members, the experience of the individuals involved. So that's what will be key to us. Somebody who's good at this aspect of it, and then somebody who's good at that. I've been thinking today about, we got to get like, God, we ought to have KR as the one who's out there getting funding for us as we rent a hall to have our annual ceremony, and we're going to pay for plaques and that kind of thing. Boy, KR is going to be like, I hope you'll be treasurer and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's making great gains over there in Vermont, Bobby. I'm glad you brought it up. And they are setting the template. And see, it's the experience of those involved. Justin St. Louis, who's president of our newly formed group over there, has many years of experience, as I do, with the New England Antique Racers, with the NEAR Hall of Fame and stuff. And I've had a lot of experience with the folks here in Maine with the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame. And so between the bunch of us in the group, we've been there and done that with this stuff. And so we have a pretty good idea on how it ought to be put together and orchestrated. And man, what a great source of pride I'll have if a certain group of us, like a dozen of us down there, can pull it off down there in Texas too. Because KR admitted right off the bat, Whipple, we need one of these. He's been involved. He knows all these legends like you do, Rodney. We need one of these down here. I hope you can follow through with this. We need a Texas Motorsports Hall of Fame. And I see no better time than to begin to do it now.
Yeah. Phil, do you think up there that, with the recent passing of Mr. Squire and with all of that, as we start to lose folks, and you mentioned right there when you mentioned Dave, when you mentioned Moody, when you get Moody in on stuff like that, I think that maybe that's kind of expedited a lot of the proceedings with that. When you lose somebody as an anchor, for you guys up north, Ken Squire's an anchor for me, and I'm in Austin, Texas, really. But when that happens, that tends to ramp things up when it comes to trying to do a project like that.
Big time. You get it right on the head, buddy. This isn't the first time we started to have this conversation. Justin sent us the initial email, and we all responded a year ago, February, something, a year ago, March. And then, what all transpired, Ken Lee Dean and all the other big guns that we all lost up here in the North Country late last year. You saw Moody's deal. 2023 officially sucks. We lost a lot of big guns last year. And Ken had such an influence. Obviously, Dave was his number one protege. Look what Dave's now the dean of motorsports broadcasters, because he started with Ken and he learned from the best. And Justin St. Louis worked at Thunder Road. We've had so many of us who Ken and Kurt, the late Tom Curley, those guys, the greats, inspired our careers that we'll always look up to and stuff. Of course, it changed the urgency, created a larger scale of urgency, I think, for us to start doing this, recognizing these pioneers and veterans. And it's funny. Ken's daughter Ashley is in on this group and stuff. Ashley's quite involved in this project, and with Dad in her heart, as you can imagine, with her dad in her heart. And so it's exciting to be involved with, and I'm just going to do what I can. I've thrown my hat in the name for it to be vice president. I'm trying to be on the rules committee and the selection committee over there because it's my native state and it's important to me. I want to be as involved as I can. But at the same time, like you said, Mr. Chaffee, I'm going to soak up all the knowledge and details I can of that template they're building, not for us, and glean stuff from that so we can do this in the Lone Star State. Won't it be neat if we can mimic, like you said, BC, what those boys are doing over there and mimic it and do it to honor our many great legends in Texas that you guys have taught me about? And man, that'll be a source of great pride for me if we can pull that off.
Yeah, we'll pull off. I think it's going to have to be a double-sided Hall of Fame for maybe the short track pavement Hall of Fame. Texas have a wing, I guess maybe would be better. Have a wing for the pavement side and have a wing for the dirt side, because both sides go so far back. It's hard to, if you combine them both, you're going to leave somebody out. So it's kind of good to have one of each to try to within the course of the full Hall of Fame. But that's still all to be determined, still to be looked out. But yeah, I'm closely following the stuff from the Great North up there, just because I think, like you said, it can be a really good R&D tool for us.
Oh, it will be, buddy. I'm glad. Thank you for. I'm not trying to bore you with that stuff. I know I feed you a lot of stuff on that, and you say, Whipple, you're sending me all this Vermont shit for, because like I say, we both can learn so much from it. And Rodney, if you would, I'd like to shift back. You touched on, how blessed I've been to cover a lot of great racing already this year.
Yeah.
Think back up a minute when Whippy here was covering stuff for the Great Sun Journal, the award-winning newspaper here in Central Maine. All I got to write all through our whole season was like I'd cover a dozen races or so and maybe write a dozen features. Here we are in late March now, and I've already covered 14 race events for these guys, just getting rolling in high gear, and written over a dozen driver profiles. And what happened with your friend Chris David's explosion this year? Wow. I'm having a hard time. My head is still spinning with how much stuff I can cover now. New people, new talent. Just this past weekend, the stuff I got to cover. Yeah, you want to put up that logo, because hats off to the entire team behind the scenes. Here's an opportunity for me tonight to say how much all the hard work and my colleagues at RaceOn have stepped up this year with what Chris and Harry have done in that growth and expansion. Those guys are all working hard to refine the product and put out a great product. And I want to say hats off to all you guys behind the cameras, producers, all of you. Making RaceOn, what's now a national video streaming entity, look like top notch. I watch all the broadcasts, start to finish. I take notes, I study them. Our product looks really nice now, guys, thanks to the work of you hardworking people. So hats off to you folks for what you're doing. Yeah, look, I've already covered a couple races at Boot Hill. By the way, I just got off the phone earlier this evening with Cameron Furr, first-time winner in factory stock at the Hill last weekend. Man, was he proud and excited with our conversation. Can't wait till tomorrow. He's a great young man. Can't wait to sit down in the morning and start writing up a feature on Cameron Furr. But a couple of races at Boot Hill already, a couple of races at Hot and Arrowhead Speedway. Got to see Arrowhead and Springfield, Missouri. I've known about Springfield, Missouri for years. I've always wanted to cover a race there. I got to cover a couple of stars races. Owens deal launched in great back in February with, the cart deal was fabulous. Rocket Raceway, Sister's right off, and like you expect with Kevin Sister, hitting a home run already with Rocket. And Cannondale, when they opened up with their spring deal, and Hunt County and Big O back in, I think, late January, and Grayson County with a couple of shows. It's amazing, dude. In the entries, a guy, a northern fella, a good close friend of mine, said, "So, Phil, how's your southern season getting going? You got any cars? How's things going?" I said, "Buddy, last weekend alone, I got another this weekend or the previous weekend. This past weekend, 150 cars at both shows. One was 3 divisions, the other was 6 or something, but still 150 cars. One of them had 87 entries in one class. That stand on a classic at Arrowhead had 87 entries, from all over the country in USA stock cars. That class, as I say in my notes, this is the year of the USA stock car. Factory stock, you've kind of had your day in the sun and you will continue to shine, but the stock cars, Joe, what is it, Spillman, my buddy Spillman's favorite class, USA stock cars are going to always, there you go. They're going to be in the spotlight this year, and I think it's great. We'll see some great racing out of that. And I got to talk in the last thing in my notes about the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series. Yeah, I got to compliment Chris and Harry about landing that anchor super almost national. It's about the 3rd biggest one in the country. For us to have the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series is just enormous. Any opportunity I have to cover that stuff this year, I'm going to jump on, because it's big time. It's great racing. The interest in late model racing. That open motor stuff is costly. Not a lot of our people can afford it and go do it. But the John Mitchells and the, Hardage, some of those guys, they go and run it. It's a lot of good talent in that deal. Mo Bags, boy, it's a great deal for us to have that. I just think it's exciting. I wanted to blow the horn a little more on that. I'm just getting revved up. I've already covered a lot of shit, guys, but as you can see, I'm loving it. Can't wait to cover a bunch more this year. I'm pretty lucky to be doing what I'm doing in 2024.
No doubt about it. And yeah, man, that motor, that's why they need to get crates. Get a crate. I know a guy. I can hook you up.
You know a guy.
I know a guy. Phil, what I think is so cool is like you were talking about. With the growth of, obviously RaceOn that we're talking about, and Flow and Racing America and Track TV. The list goes on and on. Speed Sport. They're all great. Everybody's great. And people say, you say that because you work for most of them. I'm like, no, I say it because I know what it takes to make it happen. But what I think is so special about you is that you have so many people that now, yes, the stuff, video, doing what we're doing is great, but people actually still want to read something. I mean, people want to read. I mean, you got a lot of people that enjoy audio. I mean, books on your iPad or whatever it is. What you're doing is essentially you're giving them a piece of paper online. And I think that's so powerful still, the power of the written word. And I think that's why so many people appreciate the work that you do, because you take the time to have those conversations. You take the time to put that all together, and then people can actually read it. They don't have to hear me or Bobby or whoever the hell else telling them this. They can read it on their own. And I think that's just such great work that you do. And it's a service that I think folks really appreciate, but you may not know that.
Man, is this nice to hear. Do you know I might be one of the in this all digital world, brother?
That's what I mean.
I may be one of the last guys to still, that's my only real skill. And that's been my only marketable skill for probably over 30 years now. I'll look you right in the eye, guys, and admit that. That's always been my only marketable skill, is the ability to write and to speak. And it's like, Rodney, that people who write well tend to speak well. People who speak well tend to write well. They go together. That's my only marketable skill. And so I've worked hard to hone those skills over the years, and I've taken pride in what I do. And so to this day, that's my only deal I can offer. And fortunately, to get to the point, in this all digital world, there is still some value in the written word. Hammett, all these cats tell me, I got so many great friends down there. Jeff Hammett, just one of them. Simsy, all them guys tell me, Whipple, they'll hopefully still will always be value in feature stories, recaps, previews, that kind of thing, because it is something you kind of can, with all those trade papers we grew up with, right, guys? They're gone. You can't take a little piece of, pardon my language, shit on a phone into a sponsor and say, I'm getting you some mentor. I got to send it on Facebook on my phone. You want an article to print out and take in, or something to print and frame. We don't have a nice newspaper stuff so much anymore. Mainstream media has stepped away, but I'm the old newspaper guy who's still trying to keep that style of journalism in the sport. And at least if it's put together right on a web page, my work, you can print it out and take it in to people and say, we're getting noticed. We're on this guy's radar. He's writing about us. He doesn't just write randomly. We're getting some notification for this guy. So that's what I hope will always be the value of my work, guys.
Isn't that the thing? I mean, I know so many old radio guys, and I guess I kind of consider Bobby and I that even now, old radio guys that, have made the transition, but it still is like you're talking about right there. I mean, like you're talking about, Phil. You remember the fucking days of waiting around for Economaki's thing to show up in the mailbox, and it's like something that happened 2 weeks ago. And it's like you're reading these results, and it's like there's been 2 races since then. So it's definitely a different world. But the power of the written word to me is just really cool. I mean, some of the best obviously some of the best literature that's ever been produced was written, and I think that's just awesome.
Well, I hope it always has value, buddy. It seems like it won't go away, because this sport, especially, there's so much more to it than what. I'm not downing what our content creators do. There's so much more to it than what you can do on a 3.5-minute video edit, whether it's 4K or 10, whatever it is. So much more you can do with an individual driver or a promoter or any of that than what you can stuff into a 3.5 or a 4-minute video snippet or a tweet or a Facebook post or any of that. There's so much depth with these guys' careers, backgrounds, what their personal feelings and emotions might be about a big win or about stepping up through the career or whatever. And I'm pretty good now at getting that kind of quotes and info out of people. And so that may be why my feature stories are fairly well received. And I just love to craft them. Excited to craft yet another one tomorrow. And so I hope, guys, that will continue to be intricate part of the overall package of what they do at Race On, because I'd like to do this for years to come. I may be pushing 63, but geez, rap on wood, I still feel good. Still love what I do. I think I'm going to go from 130 articles a year, like I did the last 3 years in a row for these guys, to up around 160 or 70 articles for Chris and Harry this year. And that's a shitload of writing. Okay. Yeah. I do it professionally, but that's a lot of interviewing and writing and countless hours of staring at my screen at Friday and Saturday nights. It's a big commitment. So if anybody questions my devotion to this sport in Texas, come see me. I'll prove you otherwise. Debbie will tell you otherwise of what I do for the sport down there. But I'm not whining. I love every minute of it, or I wouldn't do it. Don't get rich on it, but I pay the bills, stay healthy and active, and get to do what I love. So I'm a blessed man. I tell people I'm a blessed man. They say, wow, you're making a shitload of money, Whipple. No, but I'm making a good living and fortunate enough to love what I do. And how many of y'all can say that you jump up every day or every evening or late weekends or early weekend mornings and say, got to get up and write because I love it? How many of you people can say you love what you do? And I happen to do it. So we're fortunate enough to say that. So I'm pretty blessed, man.
Sound bite right there, my man.
That's right.
Sound bite. Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
Well, you're in luck, though. This weekend, Texana's open, so I can help you out with the good quotes. Owen lets me have 2 questions. Unlike the Houston articles where I can talk as much as I want to, the interviews there at Texana, I think if I can get 3 before Owen gives me the wrap it up signal, I think I'll be okay. But I'm shooting for 2 just to get some good questions in down there. But I got to figure out how to get out of that tower efficiently first. That's a hell of a tower they put up for me down there. So that's going to be a challenge, but it looks like it's going to be a good little show coming up at Texana.
Oh, I guarantee it will be, buddy. I'm happy for those guys finally going to get revved up and going in South Texas, especially since they need to kind of rebound from 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong, but between a huge storm and rainouts last year, they didn't have the dandiest of times in 2023 at either Corpus. Maybe not quite so bad in Corpus, but Edna, I don't think, had a lot of good weather and a lot of stuff. I'm really hoping with all that investment in the infrastructure there, and I love Cord, what he's done there, man. I loved hearing Monty talk about that. It's amazing what he's done to that facility. He turned it right around and brought it to modern day. I hope that Edna's killer this weekend in each and every race this year. I hope both of Owen's places and Houston do real well and stuff this year. They need a break, man. Old Mother Nature's got to give them a break so they can get some good shows in.
I think off the top, either the last 4 or last 5 races, including the big show, got rained out or tornadoed out at Texana.
Ouch. Yeah, that's painful, buddy. That's painful. And that's just one example of how 2023 took a dump on a lot of promoters down there. You got Rodney, you know it. You talk to him as much as I do. I think when our man KR went to run Arklatex last year, he lost 8 of the first 16 shows he had set up on his schedule at Arklatex. Now, that's a pretty big kick in the cojones, ain't it? 8 of 16, first 16 shows are pretty hard to recover from that, you know.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and we can and again, I was gonna go down the road of talking some asphalt late models with you, but we'll do that maybe on another deal. But Bobby and I were just talking about kind of on the NASCAR thing, and you know where we talk about. I mean, the promoters, and you know this, that we all have a passion for the short track promoters. And I think people just don't understand with rainouts or whatever, and they keep coming back for more. I mean, Marianne and them are firing off this weekend, you know, at the Cotton Bowl, you know, with their regular season. They're doing that again. And it looked like they might not be back, but here they are again. And every year that we have Marianne on here, I'm like, why are you doing this again? And just kind of speak to that. I mean, you talk to so many of these folks down here. It's definitely a servant attitude that these Texas race promoters have in opening these facilities.
It's a passion and commitment to the sport. Marianne's a good example. It's because of that lifelong love for the sport she has. She's almost still giddy when you get to the race fan side of her to this day. Am I right? She's still, and the people part of her deal, she could do it as long as she has all those wonderful friendships and great people in her pits. I think the Steve Sims and all those kind of people of the world will keep Marianne coming back. That great, just one example of a great, large, loyal family she's cultivated there. That'll keep Marianne coming back because she loves every one of them like family. Don't take long to figure out what that lady's all about and her longtime passion for the sport. You're right, buddy. It is a servant type attitude down there. They're committed to it, and we all ought to be very, very thankful to it because the profit margin is getting pretty iffy. The cost in it to put those things on and praying you get enough sponsors to kind of help pay the bills and that revenue from our friends. I keep going back to them, but excuse me, the revenue sharing, you know, from Chris David and Harry Fair, the money those boys send every month to the tracks, people sign up and that half of that monthly fee going to the tracks. That's just fantastic. It's just about passion and wanting to keep the sport thriving. Lopez, Cannondale, all these cats, they just keep going at it and pushing themselves to keep it going. And Mother Nature throws them curves, and they do their best to reschedule or postpone or juggle and keep it rolling. And I just say hats off to them because guys like me wouldn't have much to write about, many races to cover if they easily threw in the towel. So I hope 2024 is kind to all you promoters who are either watching me this evening or watch me tape delayed or get the word, but I hope it's a good season for all of you because it's essential.
I got nothing. I can't follow the mic drop, and I can't follow that. So
No, I'll tell you. So what we'll do, Phil, Bobby and I at the end of the show, I mean, we always kind of go through and we talk about what's coming up. So I would imagine you are going to be covering all these. So while we have you, we'll just kind of run through the roster right here. Friday, you've got Arklatex, you've got Sabine, and of course, our friends over in Waco, they'll be rolling off. I mean, just in and of itself right there, those 3 Friday night tracks right there, that is a powerful grid, if you want to call it that, of racing on a Friday night in Texas on Easter weekend on top of that.
Yeah, no kidding. Holiday weekend, buddy. Yeah, I'll spit it out right now. I just started, Debbie hears so much of this stuff. She's sick to death of me talking about it all the time. She'll admit it, but I'm already spitting out what I'm thinking I'm going to cover this weekend because I'm so hooked on it and we're doing it now. We're cranked. The season's cranked. I'll be covering Sabine and Cotton Bowl this weekend. I'm jacked about both. I was going to cover Sabine Friday night, but they got too much rain right before it, and it turned into a quag. They had quite a picture of a dog rolling around in the mud, a little pit bull, something, and we're playing in the mud. But that's a new dude, That's Shane Hebert running that place this year. So let's pull for a good year with Shane Hebert, a great racer. I think the 9 car, something. I have big respect for Shane-O, and I hope that his season goes well at Sabine. So old Whippy's covering Sabine and Manny. I'm a Louisiana addict, guys. I'm getting pretty hooked on the racing in Louisiana. It's awesome. Whenever I can, I bounce back and forth, typically Fridays from Hot to Sabine during the season because they're both incredible, and I love covering them both, and they deserve recaps. They're big tracks and hit killer tracks, great races. So, and then Saturday, I love Marianne, and I love the trucks still to this day because that's what got me, remember, in 2019 was the Texas Dirt Truck Series, got me hooked on this whole deal anyway and got me involved in this whole deal. So I'll cover the trucks opener, and I'll do the best I can to write up the Texas Dirt Truck Series opener and Marianne's first points race, and I'll do it with pride, gentlemen.
That's right. Cotton Bowl Speedway. That's on Saturday along with Lone Star. 105 Speedway blowing and going. You mentioned Kennedale. Arklatex will be going. Of course, Bobby will be at Texana. You got Grayson County. So plenty to do on an Easter weekend. And like we always say, Phil, we close the show and it's like, look, if you can't get to a racetrack, and I don't care whether it's up there, I don't care it's west, east, wherever on the East Coast. I say it on Dirty Air also. If you can't get to a racetrack, find a streamer, and because you're supporting the racetrack if you're doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Just please watch something and support it in some way, shape, or form because we got to keep this thing thriving. And I really thank you guys again for the opportunity to speak with you again. Been a little while trying to get into this whole video and audio thing. I hope it's been better than my embarrassment the first attempt. I hope it's been a little clearer and better than my first attempt. So thanks again for bearing with me, guys, and allowing me the opportunity. There's a lot going on in the race on world and with the Revved Up Sports Show world. So I'm always delighted to be involved. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight.
It's so weird seeing you sitting there, in your cozy spot or whatever, having a drink or whatever, and just to know what's outside those walls. It's like,
Old Man Winter is just out here on the side of that little office wall, and it's stacked up pretty thick, and it's dropping down cold. It was teens and 20s all around in the area this morning. It'll be again tomorrow morning. Things like quite a layer of sleet on top of the big deep frost, so it's rugged. The cats and the squirrels are way up on top of the layer. No, it's weird, dude. Old man, it's ugly. It's nasty again outside, but I'm pretty happy in my little cove, especially hanging with my Texas friends.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I was just going to say the shirt looks damn good on you. That's what I was going to say.
Well, thank you, sir.
Look really good with that.
Yes,
really
sir.
good with that. We'll need to get some more over to you, by the way. So we'll definitely get those out your way. Phil, as always, my man, thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for everything that you do for Texas racing because, like you said, few and far between of you guys that do that, and that coverage is super important and always will be. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a part of our team, and look forward to speaking with you again soon, my man.
Well, you're very, very welcome, buddy. It's always an honor to spend time with you guys. You guys work hard to promote the sport too, so you're very, very welcome. I look forward to our next opportunity to chat.
All right, my man.
Stay
well down there, and stay ahead of Mama Nature.
All right, will do, my friend. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care. Phil Whipple, the man right there. And that, like I was saying, I mean, I do remember, I think there's a lot of us that it was, you were always waiting for those publications right there. And I think that I'll tell drivers, I mean, I think it's super, super important. Like if Phil talks to whoever and does an article on you, print that thing out. if you got a digital ink printer, I mean,
Mhm.
go hand that to somebody. I mean, because it's easy for something to get missed online. I mean, because you're scrolling all the time. But if there's actually something where it's like, okay, hey, check out this feature article about me that was done by a gentleman in Maine.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it's like, well, wow, what? I mean, that's where people see that, and it's like they get blown away by that. And same thing for track promoters. When you get a race recap like that, print them, hand them out, drop them off somewhere, leave them at the HEB, put them out there with those real estate magazines. I mean, put that shit out there. I mean, you got to get in front of people.
Yeah, no, I mean you have to. So it's a good thing. He's he's behind the scenes guy. He doesn't like all the extra publicity, but he's a behind the scene guy that does a lot.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good dude right there. Phil Whipple joining us. Time to work on the enduro cars for this weekend. Hey, what I missed? Where's there an enduro? Huh. I missed that one. I don't know where that's at. Tell me, Wesley, where is that one at? I didn't know there was an enduro this weekend. Damn. Enduro's everywhere all the time now.
All the time now.
Yeah. Good stuff. Hey man, this has been a fun program. Great conversation right there with Monty Chamberlain. Of course, you'll see him out in the Pure Stocks over at the great Texana Raceway Park. Oh, at Lone Star. Okay, it's at Lone Star Speedway. Okay. Somebody mentioned Lone Star to me. I think it was over the weekend. Okay, didn't know about the enduro. Texana Raceway Park, great conversation with Monty, and then we had the Mikulencaks right there with Hudson and Ben diving on as well, and then of course we wrap it up with Phil. So Bobby, so this is going to be a nice weekend for you when you've got a race like that. When you have the day off before, I kind of always like that because it's like, okay, you've got the Friday to do whatever you're going to do, and I mean it doesn't. It's like a lot of times race weekends for me get to be a panic, kind of panic as it's going along. But when you got a little bit of flex time in there, that sure as hell helps in some of that preparation.
Hell, I'm going camping.
Mm.
Going camping down at Lake Texana. So
Oh,
about 3 miles away from the racetrack. So it's going to be a kind of a low key weekend for me to get back and forth to the racetrack. It's another reason I'm going to try to head south on Friday night, just kind of check it out, see what's over there.
Yeah. No, that's super good. Super good. There it is, friends. There is that QR code. Click on that right there. It takes you to the Revved Up site. The merchandise thing is up at the top. Of course, our friends at On Demand Shirts. All right, you guys, Good Friday coming up. So do whatever you do on Good Friday. If you choose not to practice any of that, that's totally fine too. It's okay. We can all get along. That's totally fine. And of course, Easter Sunday coming up. Be nice to the Easter Bunny, and go hunt Easter eggs out there with Bobby and them at Texana.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Watching the kids go after them Easter eggs is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. All right, friends. Thank you all for being a part of the program. Sorry to run late again. It seems like we do that a lot these days, but that's okay because that means we got a lot of content. And of course, we will do it again next Monday. Yes, yeah. We will do it again next Monday. It's Easter Sunday. Yeah, we will do it again next Monday, same time right here, 6:30. #Real Race Talk. We still got comments coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. All right. Yeah. Junior Limited Stars of Tomorrow will be in Waco on Friday night, so be sure to check that out as well. And again, like we always say, if you can't get to a racetrack, find a streamer, and they will produce you some great stuff. All right, guys, y'all have a great and safe Easter, and we'll do it again next Monday. #Real Race Talk from Texas. This is the Revved Up Sports Show.